What's going on, y'all? It's Terrence, the therapist. Thank you guys for tapping in. Don't forget to share and subscribe to the channel so you know when these videos are about to drop. Now, I have a very, very special guest with me today. He goes by the name of Delano Pitts. This is actually my cousin. If you don't see the resemblance, it's my cousin. I brought him on the channel today just so that he can give his experience about what he's been dealing with as far as his history of mental health. And I really, truly hone into his story because I was able to see him grow as a man and as a person through his mental health journey. So, Delano, just go ahead and introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are.
So, as you guys know, my cousin told me, my name is Delano Pitts. My primary career is I'm a supervisor for MTA for the rail system. As you can see, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. We got a W today. But, I'm here to share my experience and journey with fitness and mental health. And my fitness journey has started back in 2018. And just to briefly, I could say I took my son to Legoland back in 2018. It was like the summer. He was 5 years old. And I remember we went to Legoland. And I remember when we entered the park, got on the first ride at the beginning of the park, and that was the only ride I was able to get on. Needless to say, I didn't know after that I was only able to get on one ride due to the size I was at that time, man. I remember we was getting on this second ride and I couldn't ride. The lady was trying to strap me in and she couldn't strap me in, but she was very nice about it. She was like, you can't ride this ride right now. Maybe, you just can't ride. So I knew she was trying to be, polite, which is fine, but I felt humiliated inside. But I remember it was an older gentleman with his grandson, and he was like, "Hey, man, don't worry, my grandson can ride with your son. My grandson can ride with your son." So I remember, boom, my son had fun. He rode this little ride or whatever. So I felt humiliated that whole day. I felt depressed. I felt sad. And I knew it was nobody's fault but myself. And luckily, my son found a ride where it wasn't really for a parent to get on, and he was just on it all day. And I felt fine with that or whatever. So I remember that next day, I looked myself in the mirror and I had to make a change, and because I knew that my son would eventually want to not only go to Legoland, but go to other theme parks, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland. I mean, you name it. And I know if I wasn't able to get on these rides at Legoland, and him not really understanding at 5 of why I can't get on, eventually when he get older, he will start to realize why my dad can't get on these rides with me because he's overweight. So I looked in the mirror and I definitely made a change. That was my wake-up call to understand, you need to get this together because it's not going to happen overnight. I know it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of patience, but I just knew I had to make the change, and I dedicated myself summer of 2018 to start my fitness journey, and now here are we in 2022, and from that time, 2018, I was 380 plus pounds, and now I'm down to 265.
Wow. So
I lost well over 100 pounds, and I kept it off by just dedicating myself to fitness. Motivation, of course, turned into discipline, and a lot of people don't know the difference between motivation and discipline, and motivation is temporary. As of right now, I can tell myself tomorrow, or anybody could tell themselves tomorrow, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to the gym at 4 a.m. They set their alarm clock 4 a.m., snooze it, And that's just the motivation you have before you actually start, And if you're motivated and you snooze your alarm at 4 a.m., you're really not motivated. Motivation is temporary. But if you're disciplined, and it takes time to build that discipline, no matter what, you're going to wake up at 4 a.m. if you set your alarm clock, if you're disciplined. And no matter how cold it is outside, no matter if it's raining, no matter what it is, nothing is going to stop you from working out. Because, see, motivation, like I said, I can say tomorrow I'm going to go do this, or anybody can say tomorrow, but if it starts raining, it's raining outside, I'm going to stay inside. And that motivation is gone because you can't determine how the weather is going to be or whatever. But if you discipline, no matter what happens, you're still going to get it done. Because discipline outweighs motivation. Motivation helps, but you got to have that discipline. And over time, it takes time to build that discipline. And I have, over the course of, from 2018 to 2022, I have built discipline. It took time. It took a lot of trials and errors. It took days where, you know, it took time. I'm not necessarily saying like overnight, like I became this person to be disciplined, but it took a lot of time. It took times where, you know, I sat on the couch. It took time where I procrastinated. It took time where I didn't work out today, but tomorrow will be another day. But I did actually capitalize. If I did not work out, I make sure I worked out the following day. And you know, then over time, I just start to analyze my week and figure like, man, I only worked out 3 days when I was really supposed to work out 4 or 5 days. And I had to start to figure out my body. I start to figure out what is causing me not to do this. And you always will fight with yourself. Like your mind will fight with your body. Your mind, that's your biggest enemy. You can your mind is your biggest enemy.
Your mind is your biggest enemy, dog.
Your mind can tell you all day, like, why are we doing this?
Yep.
Like, we don't need to do this. Let's just stay home. Like, why are we doing this? Well, like, we don't need to do this. That's your biggest enemy. I could say, like, and for some people my cousin know, like, I run a lot of marathons, let me get off subject. Going back to once I lost weight start to lose weight in 2018. And needless to say, my cousin don't know. Back in 2018, I think he did the transformation camp.
I did, yeah.
And I knew I needed something for like a jump start. I needed something to jump start myself. Something that's going to be very structured, high intensity, or whatever. So I remember my cousin was doing this transformation camp, and I hit him up about it. And it was a spot at Long Beach, and I was like, cool. I went to the spot at Long Beach, and it's this program where you put your money down, and you got to lose 20 pounds, no less than 20 pounds every 6 weeks. And you progress on to the next week with the money that you put down. And each week you progress, you know, if you do the whole 12 weeks or if you do the whole year, you get your money back. So I went to the third round, and I think I probably lost, at that time, I probably lost like 50 pounds or probably like 40 pounds. I'm going to say 40 pounds.
Right.
And I didn't make it to the third round, but that was a kickstart for me. So after then, I just kept going. So 2019, I decided, all right, I lost a little weight. Let me try to run a marathon. And just woke up one morning and say, hey, I'm gonna run a marathon. I think I started training in 2018 of October for it briefly, not knowing what I was gonna get into as far as in training wise, because I didn't know like how training goes. You know, it's not that many people that have ran a marathon, so you can't really get resources from people that have run them or whatever. So I started just to do my own little training, thinking that I knew what I was doing. So not knowing what I'm gonna expect for training for a marathon, so I started running in my neighborhoods and just setting this goals. Like, all right, today I'm gonna run 2 miles. Today, tomorrow I'm gonna run 3. But for a while, I was stuck at running 4 miles for like 6 weeks. I just couldn't break running over 4 miles. I mean, being at that weight, even though I lost weight, but just being at that weight that I was still in the 300s. A lot of pain in my joints, you know, just a lot. It was just a lot for ground and pound running out here in the street. So I just never was able to get to past 4 miles for some reason. And then I just had a breakaway. Then I jumped to 8 miles. Then I jumped to 11 miles. So now, when I jumped to 11 miles, we're talking about 1 week before my marathon. So I never really ran past 15, never really ran past a half a marathon. And we're getting to marathon day. I was motivated, but I wasn't disciplined. But I was motivated. So we get to marathon day. I start running. This is March of 2019. I start running, and, you know, everything started out cool. I think I get to mile 10, mile 11. I'm like, man, I'm feeling it. And then I get to mile 13. And mile 13 was a point where I wanted to quit. You know, I wanted to, like, just turn around. Because I've seen a lot of people quit. Mile 13, they went off the side, got one of those little, like, like those little scooters, rode their way back to where they was at. A lot of people call.
So people was grabbing the scooters and dipping out.
Yeah, dipping out
in the marathon.
In the marathon,
people, birds. And that's funny.
People were calling Ubers and Lyfts to pick them up because they couldn't, you know, go past. They gave up, and I started to look at that like, man, they giving up easy. Let me just try to go one more mile. Let me just try to go one more mile. I'm at mile 14. I'm still feeling pain. I'm cramping. My feet hurt. Everything, and I'm just telling myself, We mile 14, let's go one more mile.
Yeah.
Mile 15, it's kept telling myself, all right, we at mile 15, one more mile. And I'm at mile 16. Now, mile 16 is at the point where, like, man, I just want to go.
And how many miles is the total? It's like 24 or something?
26.2 miles.
26.2? Okay.
So I'm on mile 16, broken. Telling myself, like, my mind's telling myself, like, hey, let's just go home. You did enough. You did more than what you were supposed to do. Let's just go home. But I kept telling myself, let's go mile 17. Let's go mile 18. Let's go mile 20. I'm on mile 21. And at this point, it's no turning back. I'm 21 miles in. If I have to crawl across, then that's what's going to happen.
You can keep going.
So
that's right.
I ended up finishing the marathon. It took me 9.5 hours, right? And I finished it, but after that marathon, like, I was sore for the whole week. Or whatever the case may be. I went to work the next day, and I wasn't satisfied. For some reason, I wasn't satisfied with that time. I was like, man, they email your time. They send you, like, oh, you finishing 9 hours. They tell you, like, what place you come in your age group and all this. And I just wasn't satisfied with that time. I wasn't satisfied with 9.5 hours. I was just like, man, I want to run another one. So later on that year, I signed up to run for Long Beach, which was October of 2019. And then from there, I just started training more. I start to push myself to the limits. Because I feel like a lot of us, we only give a fraction of our potential, especially as far as in, like, working out. I just feel like a lot of people, like, just give up easily when it's hard. You know, they give up too easy when it's hard. It's like the fight before the fight. And the fight before the fight is making your plan to go to the gym or to go do whatever you're going to do the next day. And then once you approach it, it's like, now you start to compromise with yourself. Should we go today? How much time are we going to spend?
I know I do that sometimes, for sure. I'll be like, man, like, do I go to the gym, or, like, do I, it's too, especially now, I mean, we're in November, you know, so, like, it's cold, so I ain't trying to be outside and be cold and all that stuff. So it's all, sometimes it is about, like, the story we tell ourselves. I'm curious to know, because, like, what do you feel like for you, as far as, I know you had a pivotal point as far as, okay, I'm going to start losing weight. Like, what was the point where, like, what do you feel like led up to, like, the weight gain? Because I know for myself, it was more so, like, I know I had an injury at one point in time in high school, and I couldn't play ball. And, just over time, like, for me, it was like I found out recently, not even recently, but, like, maybe a few years ago, that, like, sometimes I emotionally eat, or, like, binge eat, or I eat a lot, just to, like, feel comfort, or feel like, feel tired to go to sleep. Like, what do you feel like for you?
I think weight gain for me was more just, just not understanding how to eat, and not recognizing, like, when you are stressed, you look for those comfort foods, and you look for, stuff like that, and you start, those things make you feel good. And I know, like, a lot of past stuff and, like, past relationships, I have lost weight in the past, and I felt comfortable. Right. And you get in a relationship, like, everybody knows, they call this, like, that happy weight gain, right? Yeah,
so you're not out there trying to, like, fish anymore, but you already got caught. Yeah, exactly. So you just chilling. Yeah,
so you're just chilling, and you're able to, this person ain't gonna leave me, because whatever the case may be. And I think it's just more being comfortable, like, just being comfortable and relaxed, and not understanding what's out there, like, and the knowledge, as far as in, like, and it's like your body, like everybody's body is not the same. You get some people that don't even, they don't have to work out, but they don't gain weight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that pisses me off.
And so their genetics is different from our genetics, and like, some people can just they can eat whatever. You know what I'm saying? Not saying like they're healthy or not, but they can eat whatever and don't gain weight. So understanding, I think I had the point that I had to understand, like, once I started to lose weight, I understand, like, where I made mistakes at in the past. And I think in the past, where point in time I did lose weight, but I didn't keep it off, because I know I got into a relationship, I got comfortable, I got happy, this person want to go to restaurants and stuff, and I was like, cool, let's go, whatever the case may be. And then there come to a point where, I got to depressing stages where, you get to those moments where you want to eat whatever you want to eat, and it just doesn't help. So,
for those moments, what was that like for you, just like the depressive stage? Like, what like, looking back at, like, what do you feel like was going on?
Just, encountering, like, life, being a parent, working, providing, what I'm saying, just This all type of stuff, like life hits you as an adult,
Right.
where you have to make, adult decisions. And, it's not like you have, like some people don't have, family to actually lean on. So they have to figure it out for their own. So that, they put you in a depressing stage. Yeah. And, figuring out for yourself, stressing, wondering about how you're going to pay for this, how you're going to pay for that, robbing Peter to pay Paul, living check to check. So a lot of those things take into place, and it's just like, next you're so stressed out about this. I mean, you done ate, like mom and pop's burger, you know what I'm saying? Then for dinner, you probably done ate at the same joint again, or picked up some food. And it's like a continuous. And then next thing you know, because it's easy to gain weight. People don't understand like how easy it is to gain weight. You can mess up, as people will say, like, I'm going to have a cheat day. And a cheat day is the most dangerous thing you can do to have. Having a cheat day is dangerous because your cheat day is pretty much saying like you're gonna eat whatever you're gonna eat in the same day. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having like a cheat meal, you're supposed to indulge here and there to a cheat meal. But
right.
a cheat day is very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
That could be like 10,000 calories.
Exactly.
Inside.
And you just never know. Like, you can eat at a restaurant, then, and then I'm going to go to King Taco, and then maybe for dinner I'm going to eat In-N-Out. And it's like for your body to process all that, it's not going to process all of it. It's going to turn all of that into fat.
Absolutely.
And then you step on the scale like, dang, I just gained 8 pounds. And it's like, it's nowhere for it to go, you know? So
also too, like I appreciate you sharing the story about your son and like that moment for you at Legoland, like that's real. And it sounds like, even like we all kind of have like a breaking point or like a mind shift. Or what do you feel like, even looking back at that now, like what do you feel would be, I guess, what do you feel like would there have been something else that might have changed that? Or like, do you feel like you've tried attempts on the past and you tried to? I tried attempts on the past because, like I said, I have, I have lost weight in the past, but I have gained it back, and I have tried multiple attempts and, I prayed on it and stuff like that. And that was just that sign. That was it. That was it. And I think about like, what if that didn't happen? Where would I be at to this day? Like, what if that happened? I feel like something else would have happened. I probably would have had, been put on high blood pressure meds. Something, if it wasn't that, I feel like it would have been something else because at a point, when I start to go to the doctor, they was like, oh, your hypertension level is above 150. We're going to have to possibly put you on high blood pressure pills. And we're talking about like, I'm in like 29 years old, about to be 30. And it's like, what? Like, I'm young. Like, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So if I felt like if that didn't happen, because for my job, we have to do our medical every 2 years. And I know like a lot of people get placed, they can't return back to work because of these things. They're overweight and because of these things. So I feel like if that didn't happen with the Legoland, something else would have happened. But I just feel like it probably would have happened a little bit later on. But I'm glad that it happened. This happened when it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that time. God showed me like, hey, and one thing like, I'm saying like with kids, they want to do a lot of stuff and you want to experience a lot of things with them. And you don't want to be that parent like, well, I can't do it because I'm overweight. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't want to do nothing about it, but I definitely want to do something about it. Absolutely. So like, what do you feel like mentally, like did you experience any like mental clarity after like maybe throughout the process or now that you're, over 100 pounds down, like where's your mental health at right now? Do you feel like it's gotten better, worse, stayed the same?
So mental health wise, it has made me feel a little bit better about myself. It has made me, understand me, understand like making right choices, especially like health wise. And, I was like point in time I was depressed, while being bigger, like over 100 pounds bigger than what I am now. And, it was very depressing. I remember, times where like girls just say like, oh, you you cute, but you just big. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember those times, but which is not even saying, like, even that wasn't even a motivation to let me go out here and lose weight to get chicks. Like, that wasn't even a motivation, but it's just, I tell people now, because they were like, oh, you lose weight, so you get to fit in. To me, it's more than that. To fit in clothes, it's more than that, because I feel like if you're only doing it just to fit in clothes, you're going to gain it back. But if you look at it as beyond that, it's a challenge. You start to understand the journey. You start to understand it's a marathon. You start to understand this is you have to keep this up daily if you can. Like, not saying work out 7 days a week. You know, there's times I do that. I try to keep moving 7 days a week. But I normally do like 6 days. Sometimes I do 5. It just all depends. But I know, like, I'm always chasing what I want to look like. I may never get there, but I am fine with that, because even though I'm chasing what I want to look like it's still keeping me, you know what I'm saying, disciplined. It's still keeping me motivated. It's still keeping me keep going and stuff. And I like the challenge I like a challenge. I like doing things that people can't do, or that shadows their limitations on you. And what I mean by that is, I remember when I was going to run a marathon, I mean, so many people said, you ain't going to finish. You're not going to finish a marathon. You're going to quit. And here it is. I ran three marathons later, going on my 4th one in March of next year. Ran my 3rd one this year in March. And it's just like, it's a challenge. And people haven't even ran one, like they haven't even ran one marathon. Here I have ran 3 so far. I ran a few halves this year just to keep in shape in between. Sure. And but now I'm going on my 4th one and next year in March, and it's just like, it's the challenge. It's like, some people haven't ran none, and here I have 4. And like I said, that's what I'm talking about as far as in like chasing something. It's like, it's the challenge that I like. The challenge of waking up in the morning at 4 o'clock. It's, now it's cold season. It's 47 degrees in the morning, and it's like, I'm about to go out here and go run because it's mentally challenging for me. Right. It's easy to run when it's 75 degrees and sunny. It's easy when every day. I mean, we all wish it was 75 and sunny, right? It's easy to work out in those days. It's easy to, but like, I like to do the challenging part. 47 degrees, run outside when it's cold. 100-degree temperatures, summertime or whatever, running when it's hot, because you see less people out. You see people when it's comfortable for them. You see it when it's comfortable for them. That's when they're out. Like, and I see that when I'm out on the road running. Yeah, I see more people when it's like temperatures just right. Well, you don't see nobody at 47 degrees 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Right. You don't see them. You don't see nobody when it's outside when it's raining. They're inside. So it's like, and people ask, like, why do you run in these weathers? Because who knows, when it's the marathon day, it can rain, it can be hot, it can be super cold. And if you're not used to that, you're going to quit.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was saying it earlier, and I was like, sometimes I don't work out because it's super cold. But I think, it really is that mentality, like you said, like, first of all, your why. If your why is not strong enough, then, you have these tangible things, right? Like for men, we are like, sometimes, a lot of men, I think there's voiceover on social media, on TikTok and Instagram, where it says like, oh, why do you work out? Oh, to look good while I'm having sex. Exactly. Is that the only reason why? Like, you know what I mean? But in the same manner, bro, like I respect your why too, because it's like, you can't really just focus in just on that one thing. You know, a lot of things can't really be tangible. It has to really be coming from within, You're like, okay, I want to look good while I have sex, or I want to get girls, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Then when those things are no longer tangible, then you just go back to your old ways. But if you're sitting with yourself and like, this is your inner thought or your inner, like your inner belief, and this is what your core, this is what you want to work on, and this is why you want to do it because of you, you know what I mean? Then everything else can benefit and flourish from it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if your why is not strong enough, then, it's just going to fail.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So it makes sense. And it's cool if people find that, if they find, if they want to look good while having sex, or if they had a bad breakup and it drove them to that. I just feel like it's fine. I feel like that's a kickstart, but some people have to find another way to keep it going, because that's only going to last for so long. It's only going to last for so long. Yeah. And like, how I keep myself motivated, because when I mean motivated is switching it up, because I'm always going to be disciplined, but to keep myself motivated to keep going, because like I can incur injury. People can incur injuries, and hey, I got injured, so I'm not working out no more. I sprained my ankle. I'm not working out no more. But my thing is this: there's ways to do it. You have to modify your workouts. You have to figure out, okay, if you can't train on using your feet, you got to train using your upper body. You know, if you can't train using your upper body, you have some type of injury, you have to adapt to certain things because these things are going to happen. You can't let it stop you.
Yeah.
You know?
So, like, speaking on excuses.
Yeah, excuses.
Like, people have, it means that in, like, mental health, what we call is, like, making up, like, stories in your head.
Yeah.
You know, which is essentially an excuse. You know, it can be a distortion. Like, it's a distorted thought. It's like, well, I can't do this, so I'm not going to do it. Or that all or nothing thinking. It's like, if I can't do it that way, I'm not going to do it anyway. But like you're saying, in fitness and working out, and this is one thing I did learn from the camp too, is like modifications,
exactly.
Right? So there's always these different things you can do, you know, as far as like modification, like, you know, and not having distortions and, you know, not coming up with like these quote unquote excuses for certain things. And I feel like, you know, again, we make up stories in our head and we are led to believe what those stories are. You know what I mean? So like if we're thinking like, oh, okay, I'm overweight, I'm always going to be overweight, then that's going to be your narrative. That's going to be your reality. Or if you're thinking like, you know, oh, I'm actually going to run a marathon and I can do it despite what other people say, like you were saying earlier, then that's what's going to be your reality. You know what I mean? So that's very powerful. Your thoughts are very powerful.
And to piggyback on what you said, like when people, I hear a lot of people, or I hear a lot of people say like, you know, well, I'm overweight, you know, God made me this way, wherever the case may be. And I just feel like people give up when they say that.
Yeah.
And I'm here to say, like, God didn't he make you this way? But, you know what I'm saying, you got this way off of choices. And, you know, people know the choices they make to get to that point. And I feel like going back to injuries, I remember, I think you tore your pectoral tendon.
Yeah, I tore my pec earlier this year, man.
And I tore mine earlier this year in February. So that was off of, and that's not even off of bench press. I know you tore yours off of bench press.
Yeah.
I tore mine training jiu-jitsu, and I remember, man, I couldn't do nothing with motion of pushing off and push-ups and bench pressing. So I had to modify. Even with that injury, I had to modify on how I'm work out. We're talking about a dude that's disciplined to work out every day that he can. It's not like no injury's not going to stop me, so I have to figure out how to do it. And I figured it out. Hey, I can't push off, but I can do other workouts around the area, around the muscle, around that, so that can heal. You know, just research, look on YouTube how to do modifications, figure things out. Like I said, when I sprained my ankle 3 weeks ago, I couldn't really run on it like that, but I didn't run on it. So I started working out on my road bike. It's a wind bike. So just to keep that cardio, just to keep that up, and I'm working out on a machine that's high impact, but it's low impact on joints and stuff like that. And those are things you have to figure out on what to do, you know, and I figured it out. And I once my ankle gets fully healed and stuff, and then I'm back to, I can continue to go where I was at. I think a lot of people quit when they incur injuries. Like, I can't do what I want to do no more, so I'm not going to do it. If I can't bench press no more, I'm not working out, you know. And it's like you have to find modification because, I mean, you look at people, like when I run a marathon, I look at people that has disabilities, that's out there getting it, people that's old people, 80, 90 years old, and they're out there getting it. They're finishing marathons 26.2 miles, and I hear like friends of mine's like, I don't want it, I can't do no marathon. And I'm out there, I'm like, look at this lady, 93 years old, crossing the finish line. And it's like, you sitting here to tell me that you can't do it, you know what I'm saying? That lady's a savage, you know?
Straight up.
And she's a savage, and I just feel like people make excuses. Like I said, it's the fight before the fight. You know, people not fully having I feel like people only reach 1/4 of their potential, you know, while we're out here, you know, on Instagram, turning up, drinking, and spending all the energy on going out and stuff like that, where you can be spending energy on working on yourself, especially health-wise, because it's only going to get hard when you get older. You can't be trying to turn your life around. I mean, you can, but why do you want to turn your life around when you're 50 years old, when your doctor's telling you, like, hey, if you don't get your life together, you're going to be dead.
It's a wrap.
You know, it's a wrap. When you could have slightly got it together in your 30s, and then once you get to in your 50s, it's easy to you. It's easy. It's easy. It's easy for you.
So I'm also like when you're saying like the component of not necessarily like having excuses and like having to modify things, you know, or like again like the story you tell yourselves. I feel like that's like symbolizes life. You know what I mean? It's just like we always have to learn how to adapt. You know, like I have a friend, he always talks about adapting. He's like, when certain things happen, like you have to learn how to adapt. You know, and sometimes when you don't know how to adapt, then that's where, you know, we kind of grieve the old way and we're like, whoa, why does it have to be this way? Well, in reality, you can't do it like that, you know, so you have to adapt to the situation. But with that adaptation, you're able to grow, right? So if you're modifying your workouts to adapt to what your limitations are, then after you're able to adapt, then you can adapt to a higher level.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just like in life, you know, if you might be going through a situation and you're like, you know what, I need to maybe take a step back and like, you know, be able to figure out what my limitations are. And then once that becomes a goal that you hit, then you hit another pinnacle. Yeah. You know, you have another aspiration that you're trying to hit. So I always feel like, again, even when I get my ideas for certain things, like my creative ideas, it's usually always in the gym. I'm usually on the treadmill, or I just lift some weights. So like I always get to like this mental clarity, and it's I think it's very symbolic to life. It's like, you know, you have to learn how to adapt, modify, and, you know, adjust, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to lay down and stop. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have to lay down and stop doing what you're doing, but you just have to keep going to figure out what's the best way for you to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So like that makes a lot of sense.
So respecting the mental health, I feel is I look at it as because mental health occurs any given throughout the day, you know, from sun up to sundown, you know, and it might not happen while you're doing something to occupy your mind. It might happen where, you know, where you're just by yourself alone and you know that you can't go out. Like I said, I can't go out and go do these things at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I know I train jiu-jitsu, but I know I can't go to my gym because they're closed. So I feel like now I can adapt to figure out how to do anything to help with more than just working out, to relate to mental health. I mean, if I can pick up anything, if I want to pick up to learn how to draw or paint, or the case, I just think people have to expand their mind to open options to figure out just to do more than, because I see a lot of videos online like, oh, well, if you're feeling mental health, like go to the gym, go work out, go do this. But I think eventually over time, after a while, you will get tired of relating that to that. Right. You know, you have to figure out something else. You might want to pick up anything, like picking up an instrument or just all type of stuff. I never knew picking up the camera to record videos was going to be my thing, but I just was like, hey, let me see if I can do these voiceovers. I see a lot of other people doing it. Let me see if I can do it. And then, hey,
you do it well too. That's as funny as hell.
Yeah. So if anybody want to follow me on TikTok,
I'm gonna put the link in the description, so most definitely follow.
So he'll put it in there. But anybody can follow me. You know, Facebook, Instagram. I do post a lot of digital creative stuff, and I do post a lot of motivational stuff as far as on my Instagram to help people, you know, just to motivate people. And it'd be my videos, it'd be other people's videos. It's all about positive stuff that I post up, positive content and stuff like that. So
for sure. Sounds good, man. So I guess I want to leave the people with this. What is something that you would tell somebody that might be struggling with their weight and like their mental health? Like, what is some words of encouragement or something you will tell them to help them get through what they're going through?
Stuff that will tell somebody, an individual, is you gotta want it more than somebody else will want it. Like people look for me to post videos, post workouts, post what I eat, and I could give them the whole blueprint on how I did it, you know. And if you're not I can't want it more than you want it. You have to want it for yourself. That's just my message to people that ask, you know, saying like what I want to do, like how they want to start to lose weight. You have to want it for yourself more than looking into like maybe your idol or maybe somebody that you look up to. You have to want it for yourself. Like you have to want it for yourself. You have to look in that mirror and figure out, make the change now and take your time with it. That's all I can say about that.
That's a bar, man. I appreciate you, fam.
All right, for sure.
Thank you guys for tapping in. Again, I'm going to put all of my cousins, Delano's information in the descriptions. Don't forget, again, to subscribe, and don't forget to share this video. Again, I feel like this was very powerful because it has to do a lot with like weight loss and mental health, which also goes hand in hand. So I appreciate the gems you drop, for sure. Until next time, Terrence Therapist, take care. Peace.